Good morning. Good morning, good morning. What's good, everybody? My name's Alckemy. We're chilling. Well, I'm shitting bricks. Not shitting bricks. A little bit stressful. I'm moving tomorrow. We are not going very far. We're actually moving to a different apartment in the same building, but it's just always a hassle with paying fees and stuff and blah blah blah. But yeah, we're gonna do some sound design today. I'm going to be working on some bass mostly. If anybody has any sound design requests, you're more than welcome to ask questions or inquire about things. We are 10 members away from the giveaway, which is dope. So in 10 members, we are going to be giving away a Stencil Morph, and we're close. I've also got master classes available. That seems to be doing pretty well. Hopefully everybody's happy with that. If anybody tunes in and stuff, I've kind of just been covering like the ins and outs of everything that I know again, but to the nth degree. So yeah, I think what we're going to be doing is working on Eternum 4. There's a lot of stuff that I'm having to take a second look at, and it's not anything bad by the sort. It's just something that I want to make better. What do you mean by that, Alchemy? I want to make these bases more usable, and I want to make them obviously more dynamic and stuff. And I've realized that my listening environment and also my lack of low end has caused me not necessarily problems, but has influenced a lot of how I design bass. And I've been also debating on getting a sub or something just to help me correct my low end. But all this stuff comes from the lessons that I've been doing with Sir Cage as of late, and he is somebody that is an amazing sound designer. Hey Adam, what's good? And he has been kind of taking a look at the stuff that I've been doing and giving me pointers on how to fix it. So now that he's given me the tools to make things better, I have to put the work in to make things better. That's the way that lessons work. So yeah, how's everybody doing? I hope that you all are amazing. I guess let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick setup here like I usually do, and then we can kind of hop into things. And like I said, if anybody has any questions about anything anytime throughout, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to speak in the third person just for the sake of sounding interesting, but Alchemy loves questions. Alchemy, hey Mr. Music. How's it going? Alright, so I'm gonna experiment here, but I'm gonna pretty much do what I usually do. Hey Killian, what's good, man? And that is make a wavetable and blow it to bits. So let's go ahead and just make one quickly. The phase does not need to start from 0. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Wow, it's going pretty good. You're sore and tired. I don't feel like actually making music, so I'll watch you instead. Yo, thanks for tuning in and watching me. What are you sore from? Oh, sick, dude. Did you go on a trip? What's up, mother? Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you guys? Welcome to the channel. Does Cage offer lessons? I listened to some of his tunes and holy fuck. Maybe if you can get a hold of him. It was overnight, not really my cup of tea, but I did with the family. Dude, congrats, man. That must have been like you must feel good about that accomplishment. It took me a really long time to get a hold of Cage. He lives in South Africa, and like the challenge, I don't want to say too much because it's his business and whatnot, but he's really busy, and he also deals with there's a lot of load shedding that goes on in South Africa, so it's hard enough to get a hold of him in general. Hey Millennia, what's up? You can always hit him up and reach out to him, and then I ask him from time to time if he's got time, but I'll definitely let everybody know if he's got, if he has time open for lessons, because I'm not really like interested in gatekeeping. At the same time, I don't want to be like, hey everybody, I do lessons with K, you know, or something like that. Although I am proud of that, but you get what I'm saying, hopefully. So I think what we're going to do here is try this. Is there any platform that you post tracks on? Honestly, like, you could catch everything on YouTube for the most part. I have so many tracks that I have not released, but if you're curious as to like what kind of music I make, I can always just like be like, this is what I'm working on, or these are some things that I do. Hi, I'm new with Faceplant and I have a question. Yeah, dude, what's your question? So this is what we made Friday. I'm not going to play the whole thing, I'm going to skim through it because you guys are here for sound design, not for music. Here's that. I'm reading all of your questions. I'll answer them in just a second. And then I also make IBM. Alright, last one. Hey, Michael, what's up? So that's kind of what I've been doing as of recent. What's it called? I am primarily I would say like a neuro producer. I make really heavy drums and really heavy basses, which we're going to get into here in just a second. But yeah, so regarding halftime, halftime, like, to me, it kind of changed, because before it was halftime D&B. Now to me, like, I consider halftime to be hip hop, but with really heavy sound design, and that's what I really like. I really love like the swingy beats, like Chi, and then of course Cage and whatnot. You know, just like that, those swingy. I will say that if anybody is new here, if you subscribe to the channel, I pretty much do, except for today, but most times I stream, I do a track from start to finish during the entire stream. So I do everything from scratch, where I make the kicks and snares from nothing, and then I do the percussion from nothing, and then I do the bass from nothing, and then I end up throwing something together, which I purposefully don't want to do today because I'm kind of stressed. I don't mean that isn't something that I need to talk about or anything of that matter, but just of the fact of the matter of, like, I'm moving tomorrow, so I'm like, shit. Right? But yeah, I do, like, not necessarily a beat a day, but like, I make a lot of fucking music. So and that's actually all courtesy of Cage, because he kind of taught me how to finish music, and I'm really happy with where I'm at with that stuff. Hey, Catawake. So new house moment. I wish I was moving into a house, or moving into, instead of a studio apartment, into a 1-bed. Yay. So it is bigger, so I can't complain. But yeah, somebody had a question. Alex, sorry for making you listen to my music. In order to get to the question, if you want to know, you have to listen to 30 seconds of my tunes. The phase is actually right here. And so if you want it to re-trigger the phase every time, then you just set it to that. It by default should re-trigger. If you have it set to something like a random phase or something, then that's kind of where things will get fucked up. But by nature of phase plant, it should always be the same phase. Hey, Worm, what's going on? The other thing that might give you a rotating phase is if you have stereo. So like if you have some kind of white noise and that's got stereo in it, or you have spread, then it's going to fuck your phase up. But speaking, if you, let me see here, if you have something like synthetic, yeah, I did that on purpose, even though that doesn't sound amazing, but you can hear that the detuning of this re-triggers every time. Yeah, so yeah, you should be good. So I'm pretty much just gonna wreck this. Well, not necessarily like wreck it, but I'm gonna do some shit to it. And the reason why is because we're gonna probably set this to a dedicated sub anyways. So one thing that I have started experimenting with and changing is, instead of having this over here, I want the sub to go into this as well. So that way I can send this one into this output into lane 1, and then when it's time to reintroduce a sub, we can send that to lane 2, but it still catches, it still catches the sub. So, hey life, what's going on? Yoi yoi. something else that we can do is we can also, I'm going to leave that there, but I'm also going to introduce the sub on this with this movement pattern. So that way, did I patch the LFO to the master pitch? I'm going to, but not yet. Hey, Screeg, no more leaf blowers to sample from soon, yeah? Not until Friday. They come Friday. They come Friday. Hi, everybody. How are you guys? Thank you so much for coming in and checking the channel out. I really appreciate it. All right, so now we're going to get into mapping. I got something about moving soon. Yeah, I'm moving tomorrow, but I'm moving to, it's going to be in the same apartment building. Just a different apartment. Bigger apartment, thankfully. Dude, it's so fucking expensive to live these days. It's insane. To put things into context, oh, I'm sorry guys, you can't see that. To put things into context, all the way down to 500 hertz. Ah, that's right. Closer or further from the noises. It's going to be the same. It is going to be the same. The reason why I move this off is not to hide it from you, but it's because whenever I want to map stuff here, I have to have this over. I have to have this tabbed over, otherwise it's going to disappear. So, sorry about that. Move that up. Okay, now that we have that, we can reset these so that way they do the thing. We can leave those there. I'm going to see how this goes and try to set these to peak and see if that does anything. So you see that little guy right there is creating problems for us. So we need to back off of that a bit. I think this is actually fine. Yeah, okay. So now we can focus on the second band, which is the movement aspect of this. These two are the most important, so this one and this one, because this is where all the magic and like weird shit's gonna happen. So what I started doing was I pretty much do all of this stuff in mono now. And that doesn't mean that you can't add space, but you still want to do it relatively in mono. But if you do that, then you end up getting some really interesting stuff. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm thinking that I'm just going to do some weird wonky shit like this. And I might actually not, yeah, might not actually do a huge boost right here. Maybe something kind of like that. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but there's a snare tone in this. Doop, 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 doop. And so we got to try to see if we can manipulate that to move it so it's not so prominent. There we go. You might not be able to tell when you actually listen to this whole thing, but like that's the kind of stuff that I've been like really paying attention to as of late. Yeah, I can still hear it. So maybe if we pull this out before the slice EQ, maybe this notch will pull some of it out. Yeah, that seemed to have done it. Seems to have did it, Don diddly do the doing of done. So now we're going to go ahead and solo this guy and take a listen. That is what we don't want. So from about 140 to 260 hertz, that's where we like that other movement. So fuck. Ugh. I don't like that we do this. I don't like it. $140 to like 250 ish. Then we can back off of that quite a bit, but so I'm gonna keep this up here. God damn it. And then we can also mess with the resonance on this a little bit. Dude. Bruh. See how we overdid it? So we're going to back off of that a bit. That sounds pretty good. I'm going to bring this up a bit. And now we can distort that more because that kind of softened that up. So let's go ahead and introduce our first random now. And I want this to move pretty quickly, so we're going to set the rate on this to be pretty fast. I think that I'm also going to set this to jitter because I want this to cut off like and have like artifacts on it. Alright, now let's take a listen to what's going on here. So 140 to 4 OK, this is pretty harsh, and so most of the time I just try to do something kind of like this and create like this kind of movement, but what we can do is kind of just grab this there we go. And then what I also like to do is to kind of just like set up some reverse sounding swells. I'm gonna turn this up a bit because I can't hear it. My what's it called just went off. So I'm gonna turn this back down, but I can't hear it, so. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty cool. So we can actually set this on here as well. Excuse me. Okay, so now I'm just going to give this just a touch. Excuse me. How do I want to do this? You know, that could be pretty cool. Let me see here. multi-pass. So, like I said before, this is kind of just the stuff that I've been going back and trying to take a look at and fix and blah blah blah, and you know, just get better at, because it's a deeper matter of refinement, and then also just like it takes longer, but at the same time I think the payoff for this kind of stuff really caters towards like creating more interesting things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play with both the mix and the width. This should be the reverb mix, this should be the width, so I think that I'm going to set that to one of these guys here. And we're going to make this a little bit more complicated here in just a second, but you guys don't follow Guitar, or I guess it's part of his name, but if you guys don't follow Carl, give him a follow on YouTube. He does a lot of cool stuff in Bitwig and is really good at guitar. I like watching him quite a bit, so go check him out. Anytime, brother. I'm just doing sound design today. Just kind of kicking back and making stuff and having fun with everybody. Need some inspiration. You can always ask questions if you got any. We're gonna use another random filter right here. And this should help make this more dynamic. I'm actually just going to pull this up from the top though and then pull it down. I suppose what I could do with this is set this to move. And what I'm going to do here is pull this down by 100%. Come on. Oh my god. Okay. Pull this down by 100%. Oh, trackpad. Trackpad, please. It matters, okay? It matters. All right. And then we could do a mod remap, I suppose. And so modulate this area to connect an input. We are going to connect. How am I going to do this again? I'm going to connect this to this, I think. And we're going to modulate this. And then we are going to modulate modulate this. So that way, if you want your Reese, then you got your Reese. If you want your donk, then you got your donk. And then you can always just remove this if you want to. But let's see how this sounds. Oh, wait, hold on. So on this guy, I'm going to just do this over here as a utility, but I see. Yeah, I'm gonna move these over a bit. By the way, I've played around a lot with EX Fragments. It sounds incredible. I know you like Portal, but check out Fragments sometimes. It's great. Good, man. Like, honestly, I'm just glad that you found what you like. That's really what's important, because I mean, I'm pretty happy with the tools that I have, and I'm not really looking for anything else in particular. But hey, Lex, what's good, brother? Okay, so these are mapped. There should be some randoms on here that we can also map, so we'll take that. I guess I should label these, because these are going into, this patch will be available for sale at some point, but and hopefully you guys like patches like these, because this is how I make my money. But there is a lot of time and love that goes into these, because I would not sell you something I wouldn't use myself. So I better label everything. Oh shit, no, I labeled that incorrectly. Speed. Okay, so now that we have this, we can map the note to the speed. And so whenever we play a different note, it's actually going to make Traz. What the fuck is that? Sorry, it just threw me off guard. It's like, what? I set this to like 24. And so now whenever we play a higher pitch, this is going to oscillate faster. But the other thing that we can do is set this to sync. And then we can pull this down as well to 1, but just to where it hits 1. So that way we can turn this up, but so since everything is mapped to an audio follower here, what I'm going to attempt, because I'm not really sure how this is going to work out, but I'm going to attempt to have this follow along the same path lines. But in order to get more interest out of this, I'm going to map each of these to do their own thing. And so what I'm hoping is going to happen what I'm hoping is going to happen is that the audio followers are going to activate, of course, but then the randoms are going to start to push where the audio follower triggers. And so what we might have to do in order to get these to toggle is I'm going to have to use another macro here to toggle these. So we'll call this follow. perfect. So what we can do now is we can just map that to follow, because that's where we're going to want to use that anyways. So now whenever we turn this on, everything is pretty much mapped to this single LFO. So the only issue with this is I want this to be maybe a little bit faster. Excuse me. All right. So the next piece of this is I'm probably going to change this, but I've got a final neuro chain on here, and this isn't even excuse me, we're not even done here, but I am going to turn this on. That just gives it a little bit more high end. We're taking out everything on the sides below 140. And now we'll work on the generator side of things. Okay. This is where Alinium was asking me about stuff. I'm going to map the master pitch to this to about 12 semitones. It doesn't even matter, to be honest, but whatever. And then we want to map that to the generator, because now this is going to manipulate the pitch. And sometimes I like to just use pitch shifters, but, well, not today. Not today. But I will open this up with some other things. If I can find it. I was just over it. There it is. Okay. I'm over it. Have you guys seen that Key and Peele? And pretty much just fuck this up. Fuck it up. Whoa. What is going on over? Whoa. Finally put out more videos on that plugin. Excuse me. What do I want to do? So I'm gonna toss an independent filter on this now. Excuse me. And then there's that. We're gonna add just a touch of chorus on this with a little bit of stereo now. And what this is gonna do is allow us to actually have a mid-side signal. Just gonna cut everything out below 140-ish. I'm going to try not to go too crazy with this. I say that, but we'll see what happens. Small amount of distortion. Another filter. Oh no, yeah. Okay. So something interesting about side information is that when you add more side information, it makes everything way louder, so you'll have to balance that out. So we can do another one here and kind of match that out. And then we want this to be at the end. Same thing with this. And we want that to be there. And to cut that off there. And then we want to set this to jitter. All of these actually to jitter. Because we want them to be kind of erratic. And now when we combine this with the original, something else I've really been enjoying doing is adding a reverser at the end of this, because sometimes you end up getting some really sick shit. So I'm gonna work on this, just to, not this, but the generator just a little bit more, because I want there to be a little bit more open sounds. This is pretty closed for the most part, so I'm going to try to see what happens when we do this. Because I think that, if I'm not mistaken, I've already got one going here on the outside of things, so I think I can just bring that to the last thing. And that's kind of the trick with all this stuff, is like, you can watch this and copy it exactly and it's not going to come out the same, but everything within this is a matter of taste, and you kind of just like have to accept it. Alright, see, this is kind of hovering down there quite a bit, so there we go. You see how much more interesting that became, though? And that's why it's really important to, like, if something's not working and you've got a bunch of effects stacked like this, it's not necessarily that you made a bad patch. For the most part, I would say that you have to just go back and tweak your knobs. Tweak your knobs, bruh. I've got master classes on this, on the membership stuff and whatever, so if you're interested in learning more information, you can do that. But just as overall tips and stuff, like, it really is a matter of taste and like adjustments to that stuff. But what's cool about this is, now that we have this, you know, I'm gonna duplicate this, but what we can do is we can actually change the shape of a lot of this stuff. So we can do something kind of like this, or we can do something like this. So in that way, like, now that you have everything mapped to a specific set of parameters, then it makes it a lot easier to adjust and to work with. And then, like I said, if you turn this off, then this just becomes like a random movement pattern. Which sounds fucking badass. So that is what I've been talking about with designing the end-all be-all patch, that this, in theory, should be usable. This should be usable, like, right out of the box. I mean, yeah, you might want to do some leveling out with multi-band compression and stuff, because obviously, sorry, not that, but obviously with this, you're going to get some, let's just look at what's happening here, but you're going to get some shit that's kind of wild. But that's not I don't think that's too difficult of a fix. The way that I do this, or the way that I fix things, is I throw in a multi-band compressor. I have this setting on here that really focuses on the low mids here, of just trying to like even this out. So now I can resample that and become noisier, right? Well, no, because I am not noisier and I will never be noisier. I just, you know, Neurobass is what this channel is about. It's called Alchemy Neuro, and hopefully through this demonstration, or I guess just this sound design session, you can kind of see what the channel is mostly about. But once we have something like that, I'm going to turn this off and see what we're working with here. We're probably still at 0. Yeah, so what we can do is we can actually set this to -2. That just gives us a touch of headroom to work with. And so when we saturate this again and we set this to a hard clipper, now this is going to be fat as fuck. Now the other thing that's interesting about this is that because I have this set up here, we can always just do that, which maybe, yeah, maybe I'll map that to, because if for whatever reason this needs to be mono compatible, then you can just set the stereo on this off, and now this is completely in mono. And so maybe what I can do, just to make this easier for everybody's life, is to go stereo and then go into this guy and go here. And it's not going to sound as cool, obviously, stereo, if it's not in stereo, but at the same time, there we go, we can completely remove the stereo signal if we need to. I suppose I could just do a mid-side, but I find this is easier to do because it just dictates whether or not the racks are going to be able to pass through. But sorry about the crazy coughing. Yeah, so but yeah, that's all mono compatible. So, and then once you turn that back on, this is obviously going to be way louder, but yeah, that's badass. Big difference, right? So the big reason why I wanted to do something like this, though, and the reason why I've been going back and really paying attention to what's happening here, is to make sure that no matter what, the fundamental is going to be really clean. That needs to be identifiable. And to me it is. So that's kind of like the new, not necessarily new, but that's like the big thing that I've been really trying to pay attention to, because if you have the fundamental there, even if the fundamental is, this fundamental is a little overblown, from a patch perspective, you can adjust it. You know, that's why this is here, worst case scenario. So this is kind of like where my limitation comes about, is, and just being honest, is like I'm using 5-inch speakers and I have a pair of HD 600 headphones, but measuring the low end on my behalf is really difficult because of, well, because of my circumstances. So that's one thing that I've not necessarily given up on, but I'm kind of looking into either a sub or looking into bigger speakers. I'm not really sure which one would be better for me, but excuse me, I think a sub would be cheaper, because the JBL one, because like you want to get like matching sub and speakers, right? The JBL one is probably the cheapest fix, but I don't know. In any case, though, I can't really measure my low end, so I don't really know how messed up the sub is, unless if I turn it up really loud and I'm like, what's that? And a lot of times in my tracks, it's really easy for me to overdo my sub, because I never think it's enough. So, you know, that's just That's just the honest aspect of that. But within this chain, like I used to do things where I had like filter and then LFO, which it kind of is like that now, but as opposed to everything being like different LFOs or LFO tables or whatever, like I just kind of opted for this. This is just way easier to work with, just because one macro chooses all. And this is kind of another secret that I'm kind of telling you all, because nobody has done this before. I haven't seen anybody do this. Well, I'm sure somebody's done it before, but like I designed these kinds of patches, the hybrid patches. I'm claiming it. Check the internet, check YouTube, it's documented, whatever. But within these specific things, as opposed to using randomizers now, to make this more usable, you can actually manipulate audio followers on your effect chains. And so when you do that, kind of like this, and you actually set the filter on, then what's going to happen is this is going to react to the macros. So that means that without having to use another LFO and have that toggle up, it's just going to pretty much mimic the movement pattern of this, because this is controlling volume. So there, like, it's really finicky and it doesn't always work, but sorry, you gotta turn that back on. But these patterns are following each other. And so that just makes this job more usable. I guess it would be the best way to describe that. It makes it more usable because, like, now I don't have to rely on creating another multi-stage envelope, which I suppose you always can. And like the new patch maker, like the 2.0 patch maker that I did originally had stuff like this. But to vocode my own voice as I speak in the mic was kind of fun, and I stole that from some video. Well, that's fine. And like, I'm not saying that no one's ever used an audio follower before, but I'm talking about for this specific purpose, for the purpose of controlling the effect racks. That's what I'm getting at. But yeah, audio followers are great. I use them for different things all the time. That being said, this is kind of one of those unique use cases that that I haven't seen anybody else do before. So there's that. Yeah, does anybody have any questions about the patch? Anybody else got anything that you want to know about within this, or regarding the architecture of these things? This is pretty much mostly how I do basses these days, and it's always different as far as like the timbre and stuff, or like the actual initial setup. But I do enjoy doing things this way because, as you can tell, like it creates some really cool stuff. Just for the sake of creating diversity, though, I'm going to do maybe a couple more things, because now we actually have some macros that we can open up with, and you can kind of pick whatever you want to do with them. But one thing that I do is I always set this to 2 bars. And I'm going to set this to +12. And just do it that way. That's easier. And then I'm going to set this to here. I'll call this pitch. Why? Because now from that I can actually use that to create different octaves. And because it's a jump, it makes it a lot easier to do. I guess you could do this as well. But I find that a toggle on and off. But kind of miss a clue how all those routings and PP work. But I guess right now I won't be in shape to understand this. That's fine. You know, like, and that's kind of what I try to tell people, because like this isn't a tutorial. This is me just doing me in sound design. But you know, if you pick up a trick or two, you know, or you like find something somewhat interesting, or you're like, oh, I could do that, or I could use that. Like, that's the stuff that you kind of want to try to steal, not necessarily like, I got to take the whole thing and figure out how to make this exactly and whatever, because chances are you won't. Even if, like I said, even if you were to do this exactly the same, it's still not going to come out the same, because there is some kind of artistic matter of taste that gets lost in the process, or found in the process. And I really want to encourage people not to try to copy patches, but to try to just take inspiration from what they see and use that to make their own stuff, because that's where you're going to find the most success. I used to like obsess over recreating patches and being like, oh, I got to get it right. I got to get it just right. I mean, I'm just a systematic knowledge of how it works. Oh, I have a YouTube tutorial on like how to get started with phase plant. And it's pretty lengthy, but you know, if you're okay with listening to me speak for long amounts of time, then I have a beginner's course to phase plant. It's already available on the channel. You can go watch it right now if you wanted to. But yeah, does anybody have any questions about this? I guess maybe some other stuff that I can do is figure out some kind of speed situation with this. So maybe what I can do is that sounds so awesome. Alright, so now the next thing to do with this is label all of this and save it all. So I need a creature name. Let me see what I got here. Man, bear, pig. Belial. I already took that one. Did Leonard. We can call this Hydra. So I'm going to start with this patch first. This one. Sorry, kilohearts. I made this one. Hydra mid-side generator. So now that all of these are labeled, we can save this as Nidra. Great. And now we've kind of got not only this patch, but this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. So there's a lot more. As opposed to doing 3 patches, this is now 5 patches, essentially, because you can mix and match these, and that's what is so beautiful about this plugin, is that the more that you put into it, if you organize the way that you sound design, then this does amazing things for you. So for example, if I wanted to turn that off and change this out and exchange it for something else, like a different patch, then I can just go in here and pull up any of the filter racks that I have, any of this stuff, and replace it and see what comes out of it. So that's really fucking cool about this plugin, and that's why I love using it so much, is like it just keeps on giving back. And it really opens up a lot of doors for like getting a wide range of sound design without having to feel like you have to do so much to it. Because of like, if you were to pull up something like Omnisphere, right? Like I think that's it's 9 times out of 10 that's a really unfair comparison. But in this particular case, Omnisphere. Omnisphere. Say it with me, everybody. If you know that meme from 2019, then you're awesome. So I mean, I guess you can kind of cycle through this stuff and be like, oh, texture is playable, and then kind of cycle through the presets or whatever. But the problem is that like it's just all it is. And the thing with this is that these all sound amazing by all means, but when you're talking about doing like really a large variety of sounds, cycling through effect racks is really the way to go, especially when it comes to bass. And then the other thing too is that you can actually use these effect racks that I've made on anything. So I'm going to save this, and then we could pull up a new patch and just do something very basic, right? Let's just do something kind of like this. And then we can do something like this. Right, kind of just a nice little... But then you go and you add one of these guys. This is the one that we just did. And you go limiter. That's so nice. And you turn this on, and then suddenly you get stuff like this. And then you can get even more crazy with it by, you know, grabbing one of these guys. We can use the same one. Let me turn this on. This is gonna sound nuts, but that's really cool. Hey, Dash. How are you? So yeah, I mean, essentially you can take these effect racks and pretty much do whatever you want with them. You could also do like, you know, switch these out and play with them like Legos. Being like, oh, let's see what this sounds like. Love it. Yeah, lots of just, like I said, lots of variety and whatnot that you can mess with. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, does anybody have any questions? And then while you're thinking of your questions, if you can, go give Dash a follow on his YouTube channel. Really awesome producer. Super cool guy. And very knowledgeable. This is what we made today. Yeah, some cool stuff. So one thing that I am going to do though, is I am going to see if I can base another patch off of this, just off of this architecture, just because it's going to be easier for me. Dude, anytime. I always am happy to promote everybody else, just because that's how we do things. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Lingering. Lingering. So yeah, Faceplan is tripping out. Jesus. Okay. So what I'm gonna do on this one is I think I'm just going to start deconstructing this while keeping the same routing. So on one end, I could just turn this off. And then on the other end, I could just change this to a default wavetable, kind of like so. The remapping is there. The random is there. What is this randomizing? Oh, something in the generator. Okay. So what I can do with this, yeah, essentially what I should be able to do is to just turn all this off. You leave that there because I always use that. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Yeah. Sorry. This does make things a little easier. I'm thinking purely for the sake of efficiency, so I apologize. We can do that. Cut the rest of this off. Why is this taking so long? And then what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up the mid-side filter like this, but I'm going to do some setup here to where I go slice EQ and pull everything else out from here. And then another snap heap with a parallel chain. Turn that off. There we go. And save this as just Alckemy's mid-side, because it's a little different. What are you doing? Okay, so there's that, and now with this I should be able to save this as 3.0. Hey Manny, what's good? We'll call it Eternum Filter Rack 3.0. Then we'll get rid of all this shit. Except for this guy. We'll pull that up. That's fine. I don't think we need this other stuff. We'll call this Eternum Generator 3.0. Excited to be here, even more so now that you're subbed to Faceplant. I'll pull up what I just made here in a second and kind of walk through it, but give me just a second. Okay, and that's routed to, oh, that's also in lane 1. We got the reverser, generator, filter. Okay. Call this Eternum Bass Maker 3.0. that way I can simplify just a little bit with not having so much FM stuff, because I think from before, like the FM things that I was doing was pretty nuts, but it's hard because sometimes it's better to do that, sometimes it's not. But yeah, this is what we made just now. Did I use an analog? I did. I just analogued that with a sine wave. Yeah. And if anybody's interested, I have presets like this for sale already at alckemy.com. But obviously, like, the latest and greatest are usually going to be the better things, because as I keep doing these every day, I get better at them. So how long have I been doing basses like this? At least for like 2-3 years, I want to say. I wonder when Eternum 1 came out. I'd have to check and look that up. But yeah, I do, like, this craft that I've been doing has been a constant process almost every day. But, you know, as you keep doing them, like, you get more efficient at them. And now, as opposed to like having to spend 6 hours doing this, I spent an hour and a half on this patch, but that's because I was saving stuff and taking my time. But yeah, I can cook something up like this usually if the setup is there in like 30 minutes, and then use it, like immediately start thinking about using it in a track and whatnot. But that's kind of part of the process, and that's kind of the goal as well, is that, like, I really just want to get as efficient as possible in the crazy sound design that I think of in my head, and then get to just like making tunes and then making the tunes better and stuff. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the refinement process from this has been making sure that the fundamental is usable. If you were to just filter the entire thing out, like having an identifiable fundamental, right? Boom, boom, boom. Dun, 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 dun. No matter what, except for when the generator is on. When the generator is on, it's fucking free game. But when the filter is on, I want this to be like, yeah, still usable. Yeah, lots of cool stuff in there. So yeah, that's kind of what the goal is, and that's a lot of fun. So now I think what I want to get into is maybe I'll just kind of prepare. Excuse me. Maybe I'll just prepare for the next track that I want to make. Did I change anything about this? I don't think that I did, but we'll probably start with that. So maybe I'll do like a kick and a snare. Unless if anybody wants to see something specific. Is there anything in particular that anybody's interested in looking at, or anything that anybody wants to see me do? What are you doing, Ian? Fuck. Thanks for the streams. I'm excited to work on a piece of music though, so I gotta go. Catch you later. Okay, dude. Be easy. Thanks for coming in. You too, and best of luck with what you decide to do next. Thanks. What am I gonna do next? What am I doing with my life? Ooh. I think I know how to fix that. I have a hunch. My hunch was wrong. It's fine. Something else we could try is a little bit of this. The other thing that we could do is we could giving this some texture. I do kind of want this to be like somewhat interesting. Not like that though. Yeah, moving tomorrow. There we go. We can also do just a different apartment in the same building. That's a, yeah, really wide kick. Everything okay? Yeah, our lease is up. We're fine. Thanks for asking. Q, everyone. Hey, Ruslan. Question? Question mark? No Q. It's high. Oh, hi. I was like, what? I guess it wouldn't. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's get into our snares and claps now. So I have to constantly remind myself not to overdo the transient. Has a great video about the tree monster in Bitwig. Yeah, I know, he just put it up. It's slaying. Make this bigger for everybody. Maybe not. That's too wide. Too wide. You got a heart for your comment. Well, everybody loves some wiggles. Everybody loves some wiggles. Be a little bit longer release. Actually like that. I'm gonna have to take a look back at what I did the other day and how I did it, but I still haven't memorized that new process that I started doing. Actually, not too bad though. Need one of these guys. Need one of these guys. Need one of these guys. I'm gonna make this super duper loud. Okay, so with this, the transient's too hard. We need like the fluffy. So just looking at this from an objective perspective, actually not too bad. Something that we could do on this for one is to image 3 ER. Okay. That's a pretty realistic sounding snare. Not really getting anything different out of this. Unless if it goes into the high end. Oh, there we go. And I think this is actually, I need to keep that in mind. This might actually be what I want to do. Because now there's that fluff, but that actually sounds more like a snare as opposed to... Yeah, the transient is just too hard on that. Which is just interesting stuff to think about. It's almost there, but not quite. So now let's see if we can make this smack a little harder. Curious as to that's pretty cool. And something else we can try is to see what happens if we extend the fundamental. It's too long. Huge fundamental, but we'll have to balance it out with stuff that's shorter, of course. Hello. Sup. You can also use a frequency shifter on this guy. How's it going? It's good. I'm just designing kicks and snares. I'm just trying to look at what I'm doing or remember what I'm doing. I think this is it. Oh, this is it. So let me see what exactly I did here. I did distortion first, and then I had a clean signal. I guess just some filtering. So yeah, that's pretty standard. But what did I do with the envelope? Oh, I moved this late? Is this late too? I did mid-side EQ this way. Oh. This sounds way thicker though. Did I spread this out? No, it could be that this sounds all fucked up now because maybe not. Is there an oscilloscope? Oscillobrope? Yeah, that kind of thing I think is kind of what I'm aiming for, and that could just be from, well, yeah, honestly, it's just the way that it was designed. With this guy right here, and these things, I think, yeah. There's a parallel chain. And is this mixed? It is. Did I do anything to this guy? I did. I did raise that up just a bit. I think the other one has plenty of high end in it though. Hi everybody. We're doing snares. Which this is a good reference. But what I'm trying to compare to is, hold on one sec. Something like this. Not that. There we go. So we can take a look at the waveform here. Well, any of these really, but what I find really interesting about this is this guy right here, and then also the length of this guy before it hits this. So this guy, and then here's the noise. Shit. Here's the noise. So I'm going to see what this looks like through an oscilloscope. What's interesting is look how much stereo is in that. So this is what we're going for right here. And in order for that to be a thing on this guy, because that's not what we have. Anything close to it, rather. You can actually see that there's very little stereo information in this, for one, which is odd because I don't think that's telling the whole story. Perhaps it is. It definitely mix it up more, but I'm kind of curious as to what the... It seems like the sides are louder than the mid. Can I turn this off? Maybe not. I think the transient of this is okay. But I still hear that there's a little bit more in there. And so that's the kind of shit that I've been trying to figure out lately, is just how to make them smack but give them more air, if that makes sense. So I think what I'm going to do is, before I do anything else, like, this is a checkpoint, but I'll save this. Save this as a rack, I guess. Snare, July 25th, 2022. And then let's start over. And so the really interesting thing about this that fascinates me, and the reason why I spend so much time on stuff like this, is because there's a certain characteristic behind this that that I'm trying to achieve, which again is just finding the same shape, right? But if you listen to this, that's all fundamental. Oh wait, I didn't want to delete that. That's all fundamental though, yeah. And so actually maybe what I can do is do that again, but play that really slow. Or what I could also do is just stretch it. Oh. Yeah. So that is, in some case or another, that ooh, that's all fundamental. So what that tells me is that this doesn't, of course this doesn't paint the whole picture, but looking at this and looking at this slice of time, this fundamental is like 106 to 39 milliseconds is what that's telling me. That's how long this fundamental is. So looking at that from here, let's just say something of the sort like this, and you look at the decay and you're like, all right, well, that typically would, but there's no way. Oh wait, never mind. That's 0.39 of a second. Yeah. No, even still, that's how long that said that was. But looking at the fundamental, that's about how long that says that is. Or that's how long that sounds like that is anyways. No. So you can use that as a click, I suppose. And then you can use this as the body of a snare. We'll just leave it full range, it's fine. And give this some attack. And that's why envelopes are so important with this, because how this is designed here is really what dictates how that initial waveform is going to come out. So one other thing I'm going to do is we're going to grab an oscilloscope here. And the goal that I'm trying to find with snares is not necessarily how to make the biggest, fattest snare, but how to make the biggest, fattest snare while still keeping it fluffy. That is the goal, my friends. So if you look at this, this is already starting to give that kind of shape. And that's why this stuff is interesting to me, is because in a lot of cases, it is a puzzle to me. That made that really bright. You can see that this slope here actually tilts it upwards, and this will actually tilt it downwards. So this can actually be used as, I'm not sure if this is blue noise to where it tilts up, but white noise would be neutral here, and then you can actually do pink noise as you turn the slope up. Maybe not pink noise, maybe that just flattens out to white noise. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, but look at how that creates that crazy tilt, so it's just something to be mindful of. That's really interesting to me. So that's one way that you can pull more of a transient in it. Am I adding ping to make it more full? No, this is just the smack of the... This is just the smack of it. The... That's all. But typically speaking, like, this is what most people start with. So how does one turn this into something super fat? I'm going to just kind of leave this as a smack for now. Or just what it is before I start doing like the coloration to it. Because I'm really just trying to figure out the transient portion of this. So now what I'm going to do here is it's almost like it, I might want to use the curve with this. Sorry. I'm really sorry. See how there's this gap? What is that? Is that the compressor? It's gotta be. My guess is that it's the compressor doing that. Yeah, it's the compressor doing that, so... So anyways, this shape is a lot more similar to that guy. Almost. Look at that. It still has this nice gentle curvature. That one seems more focused on the fundamental. But yeah, look at this. That's really interesting there. This does not look like that. So that's really what the name of this game is. Back in the day, you would do that to add plugins. You would do it to add plugins? What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, I'm confused. Do what now? It's getting closer. There we go. Just kidding. That looks a lot better to me. Because this is what we want. We don't want that dip like we're getting there. Now this gives us a click, but that's not necessarily a good thing. But let me go ahead and bounce this. And then we will pitch this to the same. Now this is only from a fundamental perspective. So take all this stuff with a grain of salt, but this part's easy, the tail, because you just fade the tail. So kind of like that, and make it a little bit sharper, I guess. Kind of like so. And again, I'm not trying to make the exact same snare by any means, but so looking at our fundamental here, that's actually more squarified than this. And you can also hear that there's a lot more high-end detail on this as well. I'm going to zoom out of this a bit, zoom in a bit. So there is a little bit of a click here. You can see that guy. And then there's here, this is interesting. Most people don't think about this shit. I'm sure that when he designs this stuff, he doesn't even fucking care, but it is just interesting to kind of look at. So that's almost a complete, that is a complete square. It's clipped to fuck, and then the noise actually comes in after, but yeah. But what I'm confused about is how he's getting that high-end sound. So the next piece of this would be to come back over here. And take a look at this guy again. So we got our high end back on that. But can you hear how there's that? Oh, sorry. So that's a lot closer. Well, sometimes because there's some kind of phase issue going on with that, but there's still that clicking sound, and I'm wondering what that is. You know what that could be? That could be a pitch envelope. Not quite. But there is that, you can hear it, right? There's that little click. I mean, if you look at this though, this is really similar. Maybe not. And that's kind of what I'm wondering about is if this is just pushed up so hard. Actually, I'm gonna crush this with the saturator. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, look, there's our shape. I'm actually going to turn this down a bit. But I wonder if that's just from the white noise generator. But that's I don't know if I can get much closer than that. This obviously has a little bit thicker of a transient, and there's an odd crest factor separation here, and then it comes back up. But I wonder if the noise comes in later. That's the only thing that I could really think of. It looks like it, because even on this, you can see here, there's our fundamental, and then this is where the noise comes in. Ah. But that crest factor is still... I was worried about that. Now, something that could be an indicator of this would be this guy, because that's not really doing that much. So if I were to change this and make this cut the whole thing out, yeah, I'm still kind of curious as to what's giving it that texture. Like, to me, it just sounds like this is just smoother. That's the best way I can describe that, is that this is still a little rough around the edges, and this just has a little bit more. It's like, and so, kind of curious. Even still, it's really close. Oops, I'm gonna bring that back to. Still not quite there though. And looking at this, the shape of this is very different. So what the hell creates this? And what gives it that crossover into that? Because you see how this looks really smooth, and then the noise part doesn't even come until here. So it almost looks like there's this like really smooth crossfade that comes into that. I wonder. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about what we did today? I mean, even looking at something from like a cage snare, which I need to go buy his sample pack, but which I will. We can toss this in here and see what this looks like. Ah! This shit's pretty incredible. But looking at this guy, that's a little bit different. So this is mostly, it's got a little bit of stereo in it, but there is a matter of layering to this in particular, because I know him, because you told me, but at the same time, looking at that fundamental, you see how there's just this like, it's a very natural sound. I'm going to bring one of mine over here. Yeah, it's really interesting because it's not even a transient. I mean, it is a transient thing, but like his transients aren't very strong. They are strong, but there's that doop. And I think whereas this is pretty much right. So there's a matter of that, but so with these, like, I don't think that these are bad snares by any means, but it's not what I'm going for. But if you look at the comparison between these, oops. What's interesting about this is the crossfade. So looking at how this crossfades into this, and then looking at how this seems like it's a lot more separated. Like if you look at it at a glance, this seems like it's kind of there. I think the fundamental of this is a little bit longer, but looking at this, you can see like it just looks like a solid chunk, where this looks like it actually has 3 different parts. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but let me cut it up, and then I think that it'll be apparent. So this looks like one section. This looks like one section. And that looks, contrasting color. There we go. This looks like another section. So this is all one snare, but it looks like there's 3 different parts, whereas this just seems like it's one solid cohesive block. And that's something that I might bring up to him the next time I have the chance to talk to him. But that's something that I don't really understand, because theoretically this is, I mean, it is a matter of like envelopes and whatnot, but theoretically within this, what we should be having is just something that's nice and kind of solid like that. But why is it that this seems almost separated in between? And of course, when you listen to it, you can't hear, you can't necessarily like hear the difference. Like as far as like being able to detect something, right? But you can, like, obviously you can tell that the snares are different, but what I'm saying is like you wouldn't be able to be like, oh, this sounds like 3 different things versus one cohesive thing. But looking at the waveform here, that tells me a lot. So yeah, I don't know. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I'm telling you guys, this is snares and bass. Ugh. Snares and bass. I spend the most time configuring snares and bass. But it's paying off because I'm getting much better. Anybody got any questions? Questions, comments, or observations? Anybody? Alrighty. Well, this is about all I have time for today. But yeah, I gotta go run to the bank and then I gotta eat something. But much love to everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on today's sound design session. I think it's good because like there's a time and place where I just say fuck it and start designing stuff and then just use what I make. But it's been a really long time since I've like took a step back and been like, all right, let's figure out how to make this better. Let's figure out how to refine this again. And there's usually a point with that of like not worrying about it too much and stuff. But at the same time, I'm like always curious as to just, you know, how to do better shit. But assuming that I have internet tomorrow, because I'm moving tomorrow, I will be live. If I'm not live, then I'm going to be live as soon as I have internet at the next place. If you guys can, do me a favor and like the video. If you guys want to support the channel or you guys want to download sounds like what I've made today, then you can visit alckemy.com or consider becoming a member to figure out how to do all this stuff. But I think that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you so much. Much love to you all. I will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.